I'd like to call the June 5th, Thursday, June 5th, 2025 Committee of the Whole Meeting Administration to order. Before the roll call, I just want to mention that we are having continued issues with our YouTube channel. This is not being broadcast live, but it is being recorded to be uploaded most likely sometime tomorrow morning, right, Aaron?
Correct.
Okay, very good. So with that in mind, let's do roll call. Carl Johnson is absent. Jim Curry is not here. Brian Schneider.
Here.
Dave Wiltsey is not here and not online at this point. Okay.
Negative.
Josh Schumacher is not here tonight. Tom Walberg.
Here.
Elisa Patterson.
Here.
Dana Logston. Here. Matt Regano.
Here.
Todd Riley is here. Marion Thornberry.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. All right, before we approve the agenda or make that motion, I'm going to move 5.2 raffles before 5.1 public comment. With that being said, if someone could make a motion to approve the agenda, motion by Mr. Schneider, second, Mr. Thornberry. Any other discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. We have some minutes on the board here. I need a motion to approve May 1st, 2025 Committee of the Whole Administration and Executive Session, May 8th, 2025 Committee of the Whole Finance Committee and Executive Session meeting minutes. That motion, please. Motion by Mr. Regano, second. Second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion on the minutes as posted? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Motion carries.
We have Dave on the line.
And Dave is online now? All right. It appears that Mr. Wiltsey is online at 6:03 PM. Could I get a motion to allow Mr. Wiltsey to participate remotely? Mr. Schneider makes that motion. Second by Mr. Walberg. Any discussion on the remote? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Motion carries. Welcome, Dave. We got you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Okay, moving on, 5.2 raffles. We have a couple of raffles tonight, and two of them are from the Legion, and they require that the applicant appear. Sir, if you wouldn't mind stepping up to the microphone, your full name and address for the record. Then if anybody has any questions. You, Ed?
Yes,
Okay, take your time, Ed.
and it's a moose.
Oh, sorry, the Moose, my bad. Thank you for correcting. It is for the Moose Lodge. So if you wouldn't mind, if you'd state your full name and address for the record and just a brief description on what these raffles are all about. And if anybody has any questions, they'll ask you, all right?
Okay.
Please.
My name's Ed Fitch. I live at 153 Titleist Trail, Poplar Grove, Illinois. I'm the administrator at the Belvedere Moose Lodge, requesting raffle licenses for raffle operation. One would be for 50/50s and that kind of thing. And the second one, which is the higher amount value, would be for the Queen of Hearts. Which if you're probably familiar, some of the areas, the Queen of Hearts gets pretty high. So that's why we put an $85,000 cap on it. And that's about it. We're just wanting to get our license.
All right.
On.
Anybody have any questions for the Moose Lodge on their raffles? All right. Thank you very much, sir. We don't need to vote on it. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming in tonight. All right, moving along, public comment. Anybody? I didn't get any slips for public comment, so I assume there is none.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Wiltsey.
I'm a member of the Moose Lodge, and if there is anything that seems to be a apparent conflict of interest, I would abstain from that.
Okay, we're not voting. It's just an approval. They have to come before.
I
the
know,
vote.
I want to just make a record. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Record has been made. Thank you. Again, no one for public comment. Okay, we'll move along then. Monthly presentations. Mr. Dan Kane. Dan, if you would step up on the Water Resource Program update.
Good evening. Appreciate having a little bit of time on your agenda. I've got a couple of graphics I don't know if Aaron. There we go. Okay, well, that didn't come through very good, did it? Okay, well, what you're looking at is the first glimpse of the three-dimensional geologic mapping process product in terms of map. This is a layer between 60 and 70 meters below the ground surface. It's just one layer, and there's going to be obviously multiple layers from the surface all the way down to about 1,000 feet. And so there's going to be probably another 30 or so layers of information that'll be compiled with this. And I think they picked this particular slide for this update tonight because it shows the Troy Bedrock Valley kind of prominently across the county. And that feature is something that's really important to the study. They're looking at that as a likely way for groundwater to get recharged from the surface down into the deeper aquifers by flowing through the sediment that's in that valley. So that's the importance of understanding that. And also in the discussion with Jason Tomlinson, the lead geologist for the project, we have work being done. You see some red lines on that map. Those red lines are going to be seismic profiles. That's where they come along with seismic equipment. They essentially send a sound signal through the ground, and then they record the return signal, and that can correlate the data that those geophysics will correlate with this type of geophysics and improve the interpretation of the geology. And then in addition to that, they're doing some additional borings, data wells that correspond with the flights that the geophysical equipment went over, again, to really hone in on what they're looking at in the interpretive geologic information from the survey and looking at the actual geology that comes out of the information from the well. And so they are going to be doing an additional 3 wells this summer in June. And all 3 of those wells are being funded by the United States Geological Survey. They found additional funding to complement our project, and they felt that was important to share with the board because of the investment the county is making, and they want to demonstrate that they are also seeking outside sources of funding to really get a very, very detailed set of data when this gets completed. Also, they're doing, they're starting to analyze this picture that you see is raw. They haven't processed it. So, there's no depiction or legend telling you, that the yellow areas are sand and gravel deposits. And other than on the map, they show the limestone, the galena dolomite which is a surface bedrock unit in most areas of the county, except for over by Garden Prairie where the Maquoketa Shale sits on top of it. But so to me, that's a fascinating graphic. I can't wait to see the rest of the information. And then some of the work we've been doing locally, we've been looking at the Unified Development Ordinances, and I've been providing a lot of comment on that and trying to complement how we move forward with the Regional Stormwater Management Plan, because our water resources are all connected systems. The surface and groundwater systems are connected. And so this other graphic that is now up is the watershed map of Boone County. And the area that's in green is the Beaver Creek and the Upper Beaver Creek watersheds. And those are that's the only watershed area in the county that has a watershed plan. And a watershed plan, you can read it if you want. It's about 120 pages in length. It's available on the CMAP website under Beaver Creek Watershed Plan. And that plan was done at the standard needed to achieve that can be used for getting grant funding. So the benefit of doing watershed planning is multifold, actually. One, you get the advantage of getting the opportunity for grant funding to support project work in the watershed. You also get the geologic terrain is broken out in this map. So you get to, when we start looking at the three-dimensional geologic information from the surface going down, these watershed area maps will be important in helping us being very strategic in how we work to provide a water supply plan so that we can protect our water supply well into the future and have a good, basically it's a risk management plan for your water supply. And that will help us be very strategic in that process. And those are the kinds of things that we're doing now between getting the three-dimensional geologic mapping completed and having that data so that when we get to that point, we can utilize that information right away by looking at our regional stormwater plan. And then these the watershed management plans do take a little time to do because they require a great deal of public input. And as part of that process, so generally speaking, it takes 18 to 20 months to get a plan from start to finish. But regardless, once you have it, that again has opened the door for opportunity for funding from 319 grant programs and other federal and state sources that might be available, as well as other, some foundations will utilize that as well as a criteria for getting funding for project work. So, we certainly want to take advantage of every opportunity going forward for funding and doing that, taking the steps to be strategic in which watersheds we plan first. And that approach will make it more economically efficient for us in that process. So that's kind of longer than I planned on speaking, but if you have questions, yes.
Okay, so my question is, what is the reason we'll get extra funding by having this? Is it because we have everything documented and it's easier for them to justify giving us money, or?
It's a combination of things. Traditionally, I'm going to use the 319 grant, which is a water quality grant. That's the funds are federal funds passed through the state. And so through the state EPA, but there are things like a municipality can apply for the funding to do stormwater management or do wastewater treatment plants that improve water quality in the watershed, things like that. And even individual property owners can take advantage of this if they have a grant applicant that, will serve as the project leader and then distribute funds for, things that happen even on private land. So I think that there's, some real advantage to having the watershed plans done. And in fact, right now, McHenry County is trying to do watershed planning across their whole county and to make their areas eligible. Of course, they have quite a few more municipalities to work with. But again, if we're strategic, we can prioritize the watersheds that will make the most sense for us in terms of protecting our water supply and our surface water resources combined. And I think that's something that can't be overstated is how connected our surface waters are with our groundwater system, especially the shallow aquifers. They're integrated systems. And so if you're doing something to one, you're going to affect the other. And, so in terms of preserving water quality, we all want to drink and consume quality water. We don't want to have to treat it to a great extent or because that's costly. So this is a preventative, proactive approach to protecting your water supply.
Any other question, Mrs. Patterson?
So I don't want to take you down a rabbit hole, but I need some memory help. So an article came out just this week in regards to construction starting on the project in Joliet, to hook all of them up to Lake Michigan or City of Chicago water. Can you remind me, I know that they have the cone of depression and that is our issue, is that they're sucking all of our water.
Yeah.
Once that is hooked up, will that help alleviate some of the problem?
It
I
depends.
can't remember.
It depends on how they distribute that water that they're getting from Lake Michigan. You know, it's not coming for free.
Right.
You know, as a consumer, you'd have to pay for that water. And so I don't know what the cost of that will be. I saw early when they made the decision, the cost of the infrastructure was like $3.2 billion. Just to, you know, that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And, you know, if they're just now putting it in motion, the costs have probably gone up. So I don't know what those costs are. And of course, they'll have to recoup those costs through the consumer fees.
Sure.
And so I doubt that all the users are going to stop using the sandstone aquifers
Okay.
that they have been using, and they're not functioning very well. So I think it will depend on, you know, if an individual consumer has a private well or a municipal well for, I'm not sure which, if they still have some capacity to pump. The issue with the area there is below the fresh water is saline water. So if they pull that up into the aquifer where they're consuming water, that's another contaminant that would make the water unusable for potable water supply, which is, you know, they've created a scenario where they really don't have a lot of choice. And what they've done has affected what's happening here, in that you know, they've created this large cone depression. Think of it as a funnel shaped in the deeper sandstone aquifers, and their area is covered over with geologic layers or horizons that are not permeable. So the water can't, the precipitation there can't get to recharge the water there. In fact, the Makokata Shale, which I just mentioned near Garden Prairie, that's the edge of it here. And so it doesn't exist across Boone County. So we can get recharge into the aquifers below it. And the thought is that if we're strategic in knowing where our water's getting in the ground, that we can make sure that we keep those areas so they continue to function that way. And then also, you know, if you enjoy anything to do with the local rivers and streams, you know, that baseline flow, 60% of that baseline flow is coming from the groundwater. And if the water level is pulled down because of that cone of depression and it doesn't have a resupply, then you're going to degrade the quality of those river systems as well. And what you'll end up with is the wastewater treatment plant effluent is what's flowing through the rivers.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah.
Anybody else? Mr. Pagano?
I just have a question to help me understand this. This has just got to do with the creeks and rivers. This has nothing to do with what we are drinking now, or is it going to be part of it to help it?
What we're doing now is the main thought that we're looking at is water supply, which is what we consume, your well water. And so, but the point I'm making is that our well water, which is groundwater, is connected to the surface water systems. So they can interact. And if you lower the water table in the groundwater, the baseline flow to the rivers and streams, which is also going to decline. And so the estimate is that at this point in time, baseline flow has already declined about 10%. And that was as of 2015. So we've had another 10 years of time for it took about 40 to 50 years for that large cone of depression to form. And that's an amazingly fast transformation of the deeper aquifers from my perspective, knowing how fast water can move through those sandstone aquifers, the rate of flow. So, you know, the fact that it's already reached out to our area and dropped the level of water in our sandstone aquifers, which are the deeper ones, by about 100 to 150 feet as of 2015. And of course, we've got an additional 10 years of use of that water, so it probably is even lower. than that. We probably haven't done another check on that. But this information that we're collecting will tell us so much more about our local geology and how that geology affects surface and groundwater systems. And then we can plan accordingly to protect our water supply, because we can't go and get water from Lake Michigan.
I just was wondering because, you know, when you got these certain ponds that are connected to creeks and rivers.
Right.
All the geese that are flying around, there's thousands of them, and they cause E. coli to go into
Right.
that water.
Right.
To prevent it from getting into our system, is this going to help or, you know, this?
Well, the information if an area's been developed as a pond, chances are that the bottom of the pond is not transmissive of water to what's below it. But even so, the creeks and rivers, they are connected. And, really not a lot I can do about their effluent.
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right.
Other question?
Anybody
Mr.
else?
Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Wiltz.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I have two prongs to this question. One is to come off the well water supply connection to the surface water in the drain. Does Joliet or any of those communities, I used to live in Arlington Heights, the northwest suburbs, which got Lake Michigan water decades ago, still enacted no sprinkle days, no watering your lawn days, even odd, and that kind of thing. Have those communities attempted in any way to restrict their consumer consumption? That's the first question.
Yeah, I can't answer that because I have not followed Joliet's local ordinances or any of the things that they do on a community basis. I'm more familiar with the more regional look at the geology and the hydrology that's associated with that.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we might want to suggest that our legislators and that we put some pressure on some of those communities to see if they're doing that. Now, that being said, now the second question, I've been around long enough that when we used to, what we now call environmentalists, were called conservationists. I'm really concerned about the lithium batteries, the alkaline and other batteries, the CFL bulbs, which contain mercury, and other plastics getting into the landfills, which potentially would affect the water aquifers or the drain through if that's not being done. Am I off on that?
I believe most batteries have to be recycled at this point in time, except for, I'm talking about the flashlight, but like car and those type of batteries. But that's not really an area of my expertise. I certainly.
The reality is that nobody's recycling anything, especially the lithium batteries, and those CFL bulbs have mercury in them. So would you recommend that we maybe do? I'm going to recommend to our board that we do some study about encouraging recycling to keep that stuff out of our landfills, because we're poisoning our own water supply, especially those CFL bulbs.
That's always a good idea, right?
It is, yes. I'm not disagreeing. I just I don't have a response because that's not really what I'm working on.
Gotcha.
Let's add something really quick.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your thought, though.
comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
To curtail on you, Mr. Wiltsey, Keep Northern Illinois Beautiful, in my opinion, does a wonderful job of collecting, of promoting the recycling. They've got drop-off programs, so it isn't that people are not aware of it. It just comes down to education. And there's definitely opportunity. It's batteries, it's all kinds of stuff that they can take there.
Okay. Mr. Thornberry.
Yeah, I was looking up a date here for all you guys who want to know about recycling. The Teenage Center is having a speaker from Keep America Beautiful.
Keep Northern Illinois Beautiful.
Yeah, whatever.
Yep.
Same difference.
Yep.
Anyway, I'll get you a date on that later, but they're having a speaker from Keep America Beautiful there. But back to Mr. Wiltsey's question about not watering your lawn and all that stuff. That doesn't have anything to do with the groundwater. It doesn't have anything to do with anything except maintaining the level of our wells in your community. That's all that's for. That when your water's, like in the summer, when your water's harder to come by, that's how they control the levels of their wells, cities and the communities. By limiting the amount of water that the residents use. That way they can maintain the level of the water that the households can use.
We could probably get into a debate on water issues and water conservation and all that.
Yep.
And I think you've
Move on.
pretty much given us your assessment of where we're at with this particular project that the county funded. So I think your number is always available to all the board members. If you have questions, comments, want to discuss this. I know Dan loves to talk about this and would be more than happy to talk to you on a one-to-one basis. Mr. Thornberry, one final thought,
One final thought.
please.
On the battery situation, they are being leaked. Even if you look at your local thing, it tells you do not throw batteries in the trash, recycle them. Battery, I used to haul batteries when I was driving truck. They are one of the major recycling for any and all kinds of batteries is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They take them up there, they strip them down and refurbish them. They melt everything down just like they do steel and stuff like that. When they recycle that, they melt it down to get alloys and what have you. They do the same thing with batteries. They got a number of them. The biggest one is in Minnesota. They got one in Indiana. Not sure they got them all over the place, but that batteries are not supposed to be thrown in the garbage or dropped along the roadside like you see a lot of places do. There are recycling situations for them.
Just like cigarettes, there's a warning on those too. So throw away your batteries properly is the bottom line. All right, let's move along. Dan, thank you very much for coming again tonight. I appreciate it.
And I am available.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Good.
for your efforts.
All right. Moving along, public safety. I know the sheriff is here tonight, but I do believe Lieutenant Pat Malloy is going to give us the rundown tonight. So Pat, come on up.
All right. Hello, everybody. Going to kind of speak on the construction update for what we have at McKinley and the courthouse. Not sure if everybody's been updated on where we're at with that. So I'll just kind of do a very high level of what we've been up to and where things are standing right now. We'll start with McKinley. The rough inspections are just about done. We just toured it yesterday. The EMA office is getting drywall put up, so the rough inspections are done with that portion. Coroner's office and health department area, they're still waiting their final rough inspections. The security gate in the back for the sheriff's office, we finally have the swipe card access for that. So we are completely secure in the back now, which is a good small step forward there. Front sidewalks have been taken out. We're working on a plan for drainage for out there right now, but we've got that. They've actually started putting the rock veneer on the front of the building, starting working on the corner, and they're going to work their way down to the ends on each one. It's starting to look pretty good. Got to see that going yesterday also. Rear garage, I think we could probably say that plan is evolving as we speak. Just an issue with where the septic tank is and keeping a variance for the distance of the tank to the actual corner of the building. So we're kind of working with that. Ringland Health Department, we're all just kind of trying to get this worked out, but hopefully hopefully we'll have things squared away here shortly. Ringland's been fantastic to work with. We do bi-weekly meetings. So it's every couple of weeks, we'll go over everything, come up with any problems, solutions, that sort of thing. Anybody have any questions on McKinley?
Mr. Regano?
I just have one question. I was at the 911 meeting last week and I noticed all the downspouts, how far out they come. Are they out there like that temporarily or not temporarily?
Yeah, those are temporary.
Oh,
They're the existing downspouts and they wanted to make sure that they're outside the sidewalk area. So they kind of flipped them around and Yeah, that'd be a pretty unique look, but
I was
I
like,
don't think we're going for that one.
it's all good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Wahlberg?
Thank you. So the garage, is that, you're referring to that for the EMA portion?
Correct.
Anyone else? Okay, that takes care of that project.
Yeah, that one, now the big one. Courthouse. That one has been it's been a pretty big week up there. We now have fence around the whole structure. We have designated construction areas and public areas. The front of the sidewalk, all the way out to Main Street is completely cut off. Half of the parking lot where the old Lincoln School used to be is cut off. That's all been designated for construction. Actually, today they were taking up the front sidewalk that they just put in a few years ago, but part of the project. They took that out today. And so it's starting to look like dirt getting moved around. And I think they're actually starting to dig next week on Tuesday was the last I heard. Front entrance has been moved to the back of the building. Used to be an employee entrance. We racked our brains for quite a while trying to figure out the most safest, secure areas to have the public come in and out of the building. Came up with a temporary structure that almost acts as like a vestibule area where our security equipment is. It's heated, air conditioned. Got 2 people stationed there that run everybody through the security checkpoint, and then through the hallway and into the building. Cameras have been added to that, and there are a couple bugs that they're working out, but I think we'll get through that pretty good. Parking thus far has not been an issue. Public safety building is noticing a lot of people cutting through the courthouse and public safety building walkway, which we're completely fine with. We just have them traversing our parking lot, which just means we have to be more careful coming in and out, but we're willing to accept that. And try to have them, we'd love for them to park and fill up the lower lot first, but there's probably only 30 spots down there. So between street parking on Main Street and Perry and Webster, we will be crunched on some of the busy days. We are also having week or every other week meetings with them. And thus far, a shout out to the judges, the clerks, probation, state's attorney's office, bailiff, and everybody else that's been flexible with us and working with us while we're doing this construction. Last 2 weeks, we had a murder trial that was going through. I was trying to navigate that. It went pretty good. So we're happy with that.
All right. Any questions for Lieutenant Malloy? Oh, better move.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you. Next up, we got the highway report from the engineer, Justin Crum. Justin, how are you doing tonight?
Very good.
Good.
So we have been doing a lot of paving around the county in the last couple of weeks. I got a map up there of where we're at as of yesterday, I guess, or day before yesterday. I didn't include, we added a couple other roads. We're going to be paving Squaw Prairie between 76 and Poplar Grove, and then McKinley from Squaw Prairie down to the Ebi. So everything you see in yellow is still happening. Still needs to get done. We're doing under $1 million a day in paving. I'm sorry, a week in paving. That's about a little over 600 semi-loads of paving, of asphalt being delivered to the site. So I think at this rate, we're pretty quick rate. So we should be done hopefully by the end of June with all of our surface road construction for the summer. Then we get on to shoulder aggregate and striping. So if I open any questions.
I got one. What day are you going to do County Line Road from Marengo Road to Woodstock Road?
Yeah. Better question is what year?
Like that.
What year is a better answer to that? Because it's not scheduled for this year. So.
Oh wait, county. Oh, I'm sorry, not County Line. Garden Prairie Road.
Garden Prairie. Yes, sure. Yep. Nope. Garden Prairie. I would expect that to be either late next week or early the following week.
Okay.
So we did widen it already. So we paved it 2.5 feet wider on each side. So it's 5 foot wider. So now Instead of going 60 miles an hour, they can hopefully get 90.
Oh.
So yeah, it's gonna be wider for farm implements and hopefully safer to keep people on the road. That has been widened. It's been milled up, and then we'll be putting a 2-inch mat on that. Like I say, probably end of next week. It may be more likely the week after.
I'll avoid that.
Sure. Yep.
Anybody else?
It's just got to be better than Cherry Valley's.
Yeah. All right, Justin, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to quarterly department presentation. Assessments. Jessica, come on up.
So I just want to, hi everyone, thank you for having me. I just want to keep it brief. I sent a short report about some of the changes that we're going through in our office and some of the legislative things. The spring legislative session down in Springfield ended Saturday without a whole lot of change in my world. I did hear a rumor that there would be a concurrence vote, I guess they call it that. So in August, potentially, because there's a lot of interest in some of those bills. But that's not been decided. So if anybody has any questions about my report, I'd be happy to talk about any of that.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Mulliner? Oh, that was two. All right. I don't believe, is Becky online? Rebecca online for coroner's report? No.
No, negative.
Health department is, anybody here for health?
Yes.
There she is.
Say,
That's not fair to hide back there until it's your turn. You got to sit out here with the rest of us. All right.
I'm here.
Got it.
I wasn't in the back room, I promise.
Was hiding. Welcome.
Jessica was fast. Good evening, everyone. Amanda Mail with the Boone County Health Department. It's good to see you all. We have a lot going on at the health department right now, not least of which is preparing to possibly relocate our entire staff to another building. But things are running relatively smoothly amidst the chaos. I just want to bring your attention to our Board of Health departmental report that is on board docs every month, even in the months when I don't give a brief presentation. But I did want to highlight a couple of community events that are coming up that I want to make sure that you all can pass along to people who might be curious or interested in participating. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that our summer farmers market, which normally happens in the green space here, has been relocated to a park district property due to the fact that the transportation center project is underway and we weren't sure what that timeline was going to be. Also, we wanted to get it relocated so that in future years when the transportation is up and running, we have kind of a more permanent place to go. So really strong relationship with our Belvedere Park District, and they're letting us use that space for no charge. So there is a save the date coming out soon. In previous years when we've had it here in our green space, we've had about 30 to 35 different vendors. We had the blood bank here, as well as several mobile units, including our own. And we usually have participation upwards of 200 to 250 people who come through. That's an opportunity for seniors in our community, as well as our women, infant, and children WIC clients who are all on income qualifying supplemental nutrition programs to use their agricultural coupons with our local farmers. So we plan to have about 3 to 5 farmers in attendance. They have to go through a process with the Illinois Department of Human Services to get certified to accept the coupons. Once they're up and running, they're able to take those vouchers, and that's redeemable at the bank just like a check. So they're able to use that. It keeps money in the local community. It gets fresh produce to our low-income seniors and our low-income families with women, infants, and children in the household. So we're looking forward to that. I will get a flyer out to all of you, but it is Tuesday, July 22nd. And that's what the save the date is for that event. I also wanted to mention that we're partnering with the YMCA to hold some additional community resource fairs. We're calling them block parties, and there's food trucks and health mobiles out in the parking lot of the YMCA and also across the street where Sips and Sprinkles is located. And the firefighters come and do car seat checks. And inside the gymnasium, which helps in case the weather is not conducive to an outdoor event, there are healthcare vendors. there's social service vendors. People can get assistance with a crib or other household items if they need it. And for this particular event, which is happening on Saturday, June 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., we are giving away hygiene products to families that may be in need of some additional household hygiene products. So I do have that save the date flyer in English and Spanish, and I'll pass that one around. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention to you all is we're currently conducting a walkability survey. That's through the Boone County Hunger Coalition, which is a group that we work with here in the community, made up of a lot of our food pantries, faith-based organizations, and then some additional social service organizations like the YMCA, YWCA, et cetera. And we're doing a walkability survey. We're working with city and county planning on this initiative, actually. And the data that we're able to collect when somebody takes a survey after they have walked to a grocery store or biked to a grocery store, basically used any mode of transportation other than a private vehicle. They complete the survey, and the results that we compile will go along with a walking survey that the council will do. So we'll actually walk certain routes to stores like Aldi, Guanajuatito, La Canasta, Fiesta Market, and we'll make notes of any issues with crosswalks, walkways, sidewalks, crumbling curbs. And the plan is to use that information as well as the survey results from participants to be able to make some planning recommendations more specifically within the city of Belvedere. We did this in 2019, and we weren't able to finish all of our walking audits after we completed the community surveys because of the pandemic hit, but we did have enough data that we're able to provide to the city planner back in 2020. And some of that information was used with some of the crosswalks that you see around town now. So that was really helpful for them to have that information. And we're going to continue to do that work by doing this follow-up survey. So I do have the flyer in English and Spanish, and then I have hard copies of the survey. This can be anyone who walks to any of the grocery stores in Belvedere. You can even take a walk if you want to, and then fill out the survey as a board member, just to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who may not have a private vehicle to pick up groceries, which is a major hurdle if you aren't able to get places quickly if you need food. So I'll pass these around as well. There's really a lot going on at the moment, but I will pause now and take any questions if you all have any about the report or any of the upcoming community events. And I will get you all the farmers market save the date. I'll send it out to your emails following the meeting.
Any questions for Amanda? Mr.
Logston.
Huh?
All right, dude. I haven't been here.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Amanda.
Yes.
Do you have an exact location on that? Do you what part of the property did the park district give you? Where that's going to be held?
I should know that off the top of my head.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm drawing a blank at this very moment.
Okay.
And so I will get the flyer either later on this evening or first thing in the morning, and it'll have that location.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
I do.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Regano.
Amanda, correct?
Yes, sir. Amanda.
No. Anyway, no, I was just wondering, is this the YMCA, is that where you're part of, or is there any place down that, like you're saying, you giveaways and stuff like that, donations and stuff like that, like clothes or any theaters going on in town that can use theater stuff?
To be able to make donations?
Yeah, my wife was a theater fanatic with parties and stuff like that, and she's giving out all her theater stuff away. Just wondering if there was any connections with this that maybe made it.
Yeah, so so in terms of clothing specifically, I know that the Salvation Army will take clothing donations. No?
No.
Okay, I know they have in the past. I know our local food pantries don't take a lot of clothes. They don't really have space to sort and process those these days. There's a few churches in town that I believe have some community closets, but I can look into that a little bit further. We haven't gotten asked about clothing recently. We do some baby clothing drives around the holidays with CASA, but that's seasonal. So I can find out if any of the churches that sit on the Hunger Coalition are collecting clothing donations, and I can get that information to you. That would be probably where I would go if I was if the Salvation Army isn't taking clothing, I'd probably ask a couple of our churches in town.
Oh, I
Mr.
understand.
Thornberry.
To answer Matt's question, why don't you try the theater groups? If it's theater clothing, I'm sure they could use costumes.
We tried that.
You tried that? All right. But they have clothes, all the churches have clothes drives, shred drives, or even, Belvedere Township has a clothing drive once in a while.
Anyone else on this issue?
If she has any suggestions, you could please email. me.
Yeah, I absolutely will.
Book card afterwards or
For
something.
sure. Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Anything else?
Anything else on that? Oh, Mr. Thornberry.
This is just an observation on my part. Sexually transmitted it. I did not realize that much activity was going on at Boone County.
Okay.
We are, no, this is what I do for a living. It's not a big deal. We are in outbreak status for all the 4 major sexually transmitted infections that we track for. So chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, and we're seeing a rise in HIV as well. That's not unique to Boone County, though. I want to make that crystal clear. We're seeing that across the nation. We saw a rise during the pandemic, and then it has continued to increase at rather alarming rates. We provide quite a bit of information through our department, including the communication campaign that you're probably referring to that was in our board packet. We see a lot amongst our younger age population. So 15 to 19 and 20 to 24 are the age brackets that we do the most targeted outreach. We provide that in English and Spanish, and then we have language line available if we have somebody who needs a different language. But the rates are increasing at an alarming rate. Yes. And have been since about 2021.
Okay. Anything else?
Okay, well, on that note, thank you.
Thank you very much, Amanda. Take care. All right, Rick's not here for animal services either, right?
Military leave.
Okay, good enough. All right, 8.1 to 8.13, the written reports. If you have any questions, contact those department heads as well, and they can answer your questions. So we will move on to 9.1. I need a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $778,877.25 with the understanding that Carl Johnson abstains from voting on all claims presented by William Charles, Northern Illinois Service Company, Core and Maine, all claims submitted by the Boone County Highway Department, and all claims submitted by any county department regarding sewage, stormwater, construction, and excavation. Can I get that motion? Motion by Mr. Regano, second by Ms. Patterson. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll do a roll call. Brian Schneider,
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey,
Yes.
okay, gotcha. Tom Walberg,
Aye.
Elisa Patterson,
Yes.
Dana Logston,
Yes.
Matt Regano.
Aye.
Rodney Riley, aye. Marion Thornberry.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Get back to my page here. Okay, 9.2, I need a motion to approve the proposal from TSC Testing Service Corporation in the amount not to exceed $26,700 for soil testing related to the courthouse construction project. Motion by Mr. Thornberry, second by Mr. Schneider. Becky, you have anything you want to talk about on this issue before we move on?
Yeah, yep. TSC is the company that we had do the initial soil borings at, in the front of the courthouse. Scandrolli is going to need additional borings as the project goes on. So that's why this is a not to exceed. We're not sure exactly how much or when, but this is just a scope of work that they anticipate that they'll need over the course of the project. So instead of having to come back every single time they need it, this is we'll blanket it all.
Okay. This was part of the budgeted though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, anyone else have any questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. I got you. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on, 9.3, I need a motion to approve the lease agreement to Midland Bank lease agreement as presented. Motion please by Mr. Regano, seconded by Mr. Wahlberg. Any discussion on this, or before we go any farther, let's get an update from Ms. Tobin.
Sure. As you know, since last October, we've been renting about 3,500 square feet of the second floor of Midland Bank for all of the storage items that were in the dungeon of the courthouse. We're happy to say that that suite is completely empty now. Either things have gone to the shredder or they have gone back to the basement of the courthouse. Much less, probably, I'd say a quarter of what was there before is what came back. So that's good. With the plan, as we've discussed, the plan with the renovations coming up, it makes the most sense to relocate the entire health department over to Midland throughout the construction. So they would take over the space that we've already been renting, plus an additional suite across the hall, which is an additional almost 2,000 square feet. The total rent on that, the space that we're currently renting would go to $3,000 a month, which is still way under what a commercial space like that would be rented for. And then the additional space across the hall would be an additional $1,500 a month. And the health department board has voted that they will pay that $1,500. So, so the intent, this is the amended lease that would bring the rent to $4,500 a month starting July 1st.
Becky, should we go back and amend the motion then to include those figures? Or is this enough to get us through to full board meeting?
I think this is enough to get us through full board meeting. We just wanted to make sure, you know, that everybody was in agreement with this. The health department does need to start doing some public outreach immediately. You know, a month is a tight time frame for them to get out to their clients as to a relocation. So I think as long as we have that tonight, I think we're okay with that.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on this issue? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. 9.4, I need a motion to approve the proposal from MAC Relocations for moving the health department to Midland Bank as presented. Motion by Mr. Thornberry, second by Mr. Regano. Thank you.
Yep. So as you know, we've been using MAC relocation for all of our moving throughout this project. Part of it's interesting, and Amanda could probably touch on this. So Midland Bank already has a lot of furniture in it, and I don't know how, was it a year or two ago? Somehow they had reached out to Amanda and she had said she would take some of their old furniture that they didn't need. So it was already being stored on the third floor. So there's actually a lot of their desk furniture that we don't have to move over there. We just have to move it from the second or the third floor to the second floor. So we're like, it's ironic how this, kind of worked out, and will actually help us save some cost from having to move everything over there. We'll be able to, what we're going to do is utilize the back space here that we rarely use anyway. We figured for during the duration of the project, we'll just put all their stuff that they don't need to take to Midland here. And so that will help as well. But we're still looking into, one of the big costs is them taking the desks apart. Only one piece fits in the elevator at a time and bringing it down. That's why it's so expensive. Same with all the other moves we've had in Midland, with the elevator, it just makes it more expensive and time consuming. We're trying to see if there's another way for us to cover the cost of them reconfiguring all the desks in the new space. That alone is probably going to take them about a day, and that costs about $4,400. It's included in here, so I guess I'd be asking for, and up to this amount, but we are still researching to see if there's a way that we can save on that $4,400, whether it's in-house labor or something else. But if they can at least get it from the third floor to the second floor, maybe we can figure it out. But because it is expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, we would be looking for, to want to cover the entire cost though. with a not to exceed.
Do we need to include, we're not including that tonight though.
No, that can come to the
Fine.
board too. I just, as a full amount, I just wanted to
Yep.
make you, and hopefully by then we'll have a concrete
Great.
number with that.
All right. Anyone have any questions? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Motion carries. Thank you. Let's see here. 9.5. Need a motion to approve the proposal from JRM Consulting Incorporated for the purchase of assessors IMS software for the CAMA system. Motion by Mr. Wahlberg, second. Second by Mr. Schneider.
This is a Jessica.
That's to Jessica. Well, and she doesn't get to leave yet. She's still here. Good.
So CAMA software, computer assisted mass appraisal, right? That's how the assessors evaluate the real estate for assessments. We do something interesting in Boone County. It was started by Pat Elder. We've been doing it since 2009, where all of the townships share the same cost models and the cost software. They're independently elected officials. They could all go their own way. They could all do their own thing. It's completely their discretion. And we are not on the hook, actually, really, for an appraisal software, because the job of appraisal, of the assessment of real estate, direct valuation, is the township's responsibility. But and Pat Elder, in her wisdom, went into this agreement with all of the townships where they would be in a shared system, and they're all using the same cost models, the same cost tables, and the same method of valuation. And everybody can see, any township assessor can see, they can all see everybody else's work. It's very transparent. It's very equitable. And it provides an ease of transferring those numbers and that data into the software that we use for assessment management, which is how we apply equalization factors and exemptions, and that we transfer that whole, it's an enormous amount of data. And we transfer that, it goes from the township assessors to us, to the clerk's office, who manages extension, and then to the treasurer who manages billing. It's just a lot of data, and the less points of exposure we have, the better. So this shared system that Pat Elder created, a lot of other counties are moving to systems like this, where they're entering into intergovernmental agreements with all of their townships, getting them all to work together, and getting the county kind of at the center of it, like holding it all together. And it's a good model, and we'd like to keep doing it. So the software we had been using since 2009 is very old. We attempted a software conversion in 21 after I was first appointed, because I felt like it was a priority, but it was not successful. Software conversions are hard. We have a lot more faith in everybody had to take a minute to cool off and shake off just the disappointment that one didn't work. And we're really confident in this new product from JRM Consulting, and everybody's really excited about it. Several township assessors told me that they were going to try and come, but couldn't. If you want to reach out to them all independently, you would hear their support as well.
Right. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Mulliner? Right.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got a motion on the floor with a second. Any other discussion on this issue? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carried. 9.6, I need a motion to approve resolution 25-19 to use MFT funds for bridge culvert structure replacement on Stone Quarry Road near Graham Road. Motion by Mr. Logston, second by Mr. Schneider. Grohl.
This is primarily a formality in order to pay for this project through motor fuel tax money. It is budgeted. We have approved the agreement that this is paying for. So, again, it's a formality. This bridge is at the end of phase one. I am doing a design build, so phase 2 and 3 will be bid out here. I would expect in the next 4 months, and then it would be designed over this winter and build next year, next construction season. So this is the bridge at the intersection of Graham and Stone Quarry. It's called a bridge because it's over a 20-foot span, but it essentially is a box culvert. It will be something real similar when it goes back in. We're going to extend a little bit further in case Graham Road ever goes through towards Genoa.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Cron? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Very good. All right, moving on to 9.7. I need a motion to approve engineering service agreement with Willett Hoffman and Associates Incorporated in the amount of $162,161 with the county bridge fund not to exceed $40,540.25, 25% of the agreement value. Remaining costs will be covered by ICC/RR grant funds and Flora Township. Motion for that? Motion by Mr. Schneider, second by Mr. Thornberry. Cron.
Yeah, so the picture that's up on the board is the kind of the design, the layout. The CN Railroad, Canadian National Railroad, is doing a bridge replacement there. The current bridge is a timber structure. If you're familiar with that area, there's not a lot of cars that drive through there. It's a narrow one-lane underpass with Pool Road. There was a fatality there 50 years ago, and it's been struck multiple times. Very dangerous, tight curve, single lane. We are going to, with the cooperation with the Illinois Commerce Commission and Canadian National Railroad, and that's why it's a do not exceed, because I'm hoping to get more money out of them. But we've been working with them for, probably 9 months now on this project. We're to the point where need an agreement to proceed, and that's what we have for you tonight to approve. And we're going to still negotiate additional grant monies.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Wahlberg?
So look, Justin, just a couple things, if you give a little bit more on the design of that, and then our agreement with Flora Township, you said?
Yes. Yep. So the design, this is Pool Road. So this is the jurisdiction of Flora Township. This is not a county highway. It goes under, Pool Road goes under the Canadian National Railroad, which is elevated there. So the design, I've already talked to the landowners. We're going to be acquiring 0.25 acres on the northeast, and then 0.11 acres on the southwest. Mark's family has got it on the southwest. On the northeast is Shostrom. I've talked to both parties, and they're both willing to sell to accommodate this design. This has instead of the current condition is a very tight curve right at the railroad structure, and it's a single lane. This will be 2 lanes with a swooping curve that is a 35-mile-per-hour curve. It is a significant safety improvement. There's going to be guardrail. Currently, there's no guardrail. If you're off the road, or if you encounter a vehicle under there, you're going to be, one of the vehicles is going to hit a timber piling. So it's a very, very large safety improvement. There is a lot of federal rail money available for this, so I'm hoping that our $40,000, $540 fund that we're asking to contribute to this is going to be under 10,000, and I think that's realistic. But I need to get things prepared so that we're hoping to have an agreement by beginning of July is the course. So is that further, I guess, give you?
Yeah, I was just trying to read the numbers on here, and the width, it mentions 26.7. Does that sound about right?
For the clear width on the horizontal. On the vertical, the vertical clearance is, I want to say 11 foot, 10 inches maybe, and that is not changing. So we're still going to be substandard on the vertical. We have an IDOT verbal design exclusion is what they call them. So we have a verbal exclusion on the design that we're less than, we're not decreasing it, but we're still less than standard. We're waiting to have the formal results back. On the horizontal, we're not asking for any exemption. So we do meet standards on the horizontal. So the clear width, it does meet standards for, I believe it's a 11-foot lane with 2-foot shoulders. So 13 plus 13, 26. Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing that for Florida Township. This looks like a nice improvement.
It is great. And it is, again, a Florida Township improvement. It is a safety improvement for the residents and it is their jurisdiction. They are bringing it to Florida Township Board to do the right-of-way acquisition. We've been working with them on that, helping them. They are going to be doing that on their own through the county bridge fund. That's where we do the matching funds typically with townships.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? All right, we got a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. 9.8, I need a motion to approve revised Safe Streets for All SS4A grant agreement. Motion by Mr. Morgano, second. Second by Mr. Thornberry. Justin.
So if you recall, a few months ago, someone asked me what the impacts of the federal grant freezing was at the time. This is the one, and this got re-released. Unfortunately, when it got re-released, we've got to do a new agreement, and this is the third time we've done a new agreement. Unfortunately, hopefully this is the last time. Nothing's changed really. There's been some no financial or total outcomes of this grant are changing. There's some wording changing, some other various minor things that are changing, but otherwise, I hope to not see this back again. But I do recommend approval of this. This will be purchasing radar speed limit signs and a attenuator truck, which is a flatbed truck that has a crash attenuator. So if we're out striping roads or doing shoulder work, this truck is in the back end of our train of vehicles, and this would be the first one to get hit if there's a impaired vehicle or a vehicle that's going to strike our crew. And this would absorb that impact. So it's a safety feature that is getting paid for $192,000 grant. We're on the hook for 40. The one thing that I am trying to change on this is that out of that 40, I'm doing 30 in-kind contributions where we're going to spend $30,000 to install the signs and do other modifications to the truck. And then, so $10,000 would be our cash mat.
Okay, anyone have any questions on this issue? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, 9.9, Belvedere building permit fees discussion. And I'm going to let Becky take that one to start anyway.
Sure. Ryan had asked for this to be on the agenda at first. I think part of the discussion, and I think they just wanted to see if the board wanted us, or the state's attorney's office, to pursue it any further, is whether we wanted to look at whether there's a way for the county to be able to inspect and do our own plan reviews separate from the city. As we've discussed, there are some counties that have agreements with the municipalities that their courthouses or other facilities are in, where the counties actually handle their own buildings and the city doesn't have to do the inspections. Therefore, there's no permits, fees. So if you wanted us to pursue that a little bit further, we could. Drew's on vacation this week, and I think there was some questions that that state's attorney's office had for him. So we can get more information if you want us to look at that.
Ideas, comments from the board at this point? Mr. Wahlberg?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Riley. I think it sounds like a good idea. Did the state's attorneys have anything to add to the discussion at this moment?
Not right now. We're looking into it.
Yeah, it sounds like might be a good, strong option for us to consider here in the county.
Mr. Thornberry?
I mentioned this to Becky a while back, but there's a lot of counties around where if your building deals in nothing but county business, the city doesn't have any ability to level building fees because it's a county building and a county business. It doesn't have anything to do with the city. And if you look at the Newburgh situation out there, there's no rhyme or reason the way we do business here in Boone County anyway. The two buildings set side by side, one belongs to the county, one belongs to the city. It makes absolutely no sense. So I don't see why this should make any sense either. I mean, this is all county business here, except for the taxes, and even that's county taxes. It should be handled by the county or the county with the county. Same way with the courthouse. Courthouse handles all kinds of business, city business, county business, state business. But the majority of it is county business. So why we should have to pay for permits is beyond me. We've never had to pay for them before. We've always had an unspoken agreement that there would be no permit charges for the city or the county. But somebody pissed these cornflakes. That's
Okay. All right. Ms. Patterson.
Can anybody, I don't know if Carla or Becky, in pursuing this, we've already paid for the initial, for the courthouse permit fees. If this were doable, would we be able to recapture that money again? Like, is this something that will work for the projects that we have going on right now in a timely manner? And maybe you can't answer that yet. Or by the time we figure this out, it's just going to be something put in place for the future. Does that make sense?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it
A lot of unknowns, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the plan review the city's already been doing the plan review for this building for the last month and a half, probably. So they already do have some time invested in it. It might be too late for this. It might not be too late for the transit building. And the basement of the public safety building, I don't know what's going to happen there. But
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we've got an idea,
mhm,
maybe not all, but some.
right.
And certainly moving forward, if we can have our own autonomy on things would be wonderful. That way we don't have to deal with.
All right. Anyone else have a thought, Mr. O'Donnell?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Hang on a second, Mr. Regano, go ahead.
Yes, I was talking to Mayor Morrissey last week and he says he don't have the authority to go above the amount of money of 15,000. He can approve up to that, but he was saying, I don't know who would be above for the amount that we're supposed to be paying that we don't agree with. So if he don't have the authority, who would be the upper authority to approve that such a thing?
They already voted on it.
Huh?
The city council, they already voted on it.
No, I know, but they said, it would be up to, he was telling me it was up to them, that they voted on it, yes. But there was something brought up about a paper years ago that was not signed to waive this and waive that. I don't know if they're like Mr. Thornberry said, maybe somebody pissed in their flakes or whatever. But I think the whole thing is ridiculous. And I told him the same thing. I said, we're supposed to be working hand in hand. Whatever the reason is, I'm not playing sides on his side or our side. Of course, I'm on our side, of course, because I do not want to pay that amount of fees for when we're supposed to be working hand in hand. But, if he's got the final say in what happens in the city, which should be appropriate. But who above him can approve that unless it's the board? I mean, we can go back and forth, and this could go on forever. I mean, we need to, it's just like, it's like peanuts are here, but it's just, I think it's ridiculous that the county places are in city of Belvedere. And I think we should all be working together, not fighting against each other to get stuff that helps each other better off, whether it be city of Belvedere or county, whatever makes it better Sorry, Dave. Whatever makes it better, I think that's the way it should be. You know, if you don't agree with something, you know, they need to tell us so we can all work it out, the proper authorities to work it out together and get the right thing done. I think it's a great idea to have our own thing. Yes, I agree with that one there. But then again, is it going to prevent things if you're doing buildings, which is right in this Belvedere, city of Belvedere, so we approve them? How's that going to work going up and above the city of Belvedere since the work's being done there? You know what I'm saying? I wish it could. I mean, you know, I run into a lot of idiots in my time, you know, doing this and that and arguing about this, and my cup of coffee is bigger than yours, and it's just I think it's acidine. Excuse my English, but that's my opinion and my input to the board. So,
all right. Thank you, Mr. Regano. Mr. Wiltsey, you have a comment?
Yeah, just briefly, Mr. Chairman. If it's within a municipal boundary, they'll have control. If they want to relinquish control or work with us, they can. But so far, we haven't seen that from Belvedere in this circumstance. And I want to remind the members of the board that Belvedere is a home rule community, which gives it some greater strength under the Illinois Constitution. So, yeah, if they'll play ball with us, we can work it out. But I think what we're seeing right now is they're not going to play ball with us. And so whenever we talk about anything between the county and any municipality in this county, we need to realize whether it's incorporated or unincorporated, where the site is, and whether the city council or village council will play ball with us.
Okay. All right, very good.
can I just suggest one more thing?
Sure.
Sorry. Get out of here too. If we go to one of their meetings on a Monday night again, instead of, I mean, we all know the rules about filling out public comment. I mean, if we go to a meeting again and want to discuss this with the city council, fill out a public
Comment.
Thank you. Public comment and have a discussion with the city council and find out what's ailing them and why they refusing it. You know, to work with us. I mean, we got a lot of big things in Belvedere. We got the community building for one, which they do a lot of wonderful things, and it benefits Belvedere and the county. So if they wanted to add an addition, so since it's county, we're gonna have to pay them service fees. I mean, seems like everybody's out for a buck. Okay, but we're working between councils and board members, and I think somebody should get their head at it, or you know what, and just start working together.
Yep.
As a team.
Sure.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Nope, no problem at all. No problem at all.
Says I talk too much.
All right, any other movement on or comments on this issue? Like I said a couple of weeks ago at the last meeting, we got our chairman, I'm sure, is continuing his whatever negotiation process there might be. And I think if we let them continue to, I don't know what'll happen with this. I really don't. So we will, certainly anybody is welcome to go to the city council meetings and speak your mind. Just can't remind anybody enough to be sure, just like we expect here, everyone be respectful and speak clearly and stick to the point, because that's, I think the problem here, a lot of this is some of it's gotten off point and it's gotten blown way out of proportion. So, all right, other than that, anyone else have any final comments? Yes, Mr. Wiltsey.
Yeah, but briefly, it's just reflecting on the last couple of minutes. I mean, we tell people that they can expect to hear from us, and we're not going to engage in a dialogue with people that appear before us. And they're not going to engage in a dialogue with us if we appear before them in a public comment setting. We're going to have the ability to have a committee or the chairman and the state's attorney and vice chairman or whatever to talk to them personally. But it's not, there's not going to be a public dialogue if they don't put it on their agenda.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it kind of goes back, and I think Becky will know where I'm coming from on this, and because I was not on the board then, but I think that intergovernmental or county council coordinating council, I really think that needs to reappear so that we can talk about these issues as they come up and they can be discussed in a forum that, is a little more structured. So.
Do we need to form a committee to get that to happen?
I don't know what we would have to do to bring that back. I got to be honest with you. It's something that I looked at over the last couple of years, but it just so many other things came up that I never asked enough questions about it to know how we would go about that. So I think at this point, Becky, you can comment if you want. Otherwise, I think it's just something that we'll have to look into. I don't know what it would take to get it back. You were probably on the board when it was there before. So.
I was going to say,
okay.
Remove from the.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments on this issue? Right, move along then. What else do we have on the agenda here? Landfill, nothing. Correspondence. Oh, landfill. I'm sorry. We do have something on landfill. What do we need to do here? Just information for the board?
Yep, this was just an update that our 2023 and 2024 corrective action evaluations reports that we're required to do were finally approved. EPA, I think, has been understaffed just like every other state agency. And so every month we have to do these letters requesting extension, and it's a lot of tedious process. But anyway, finally, our 2023 and 2024 corrective action plans were completed. That we have to, the phenolics has to be back part of our monitoring program since it was detected in the leachate. But brownfield consultants that we have, really optimistic that the EPA, is caught up now, and hopefully we'll be able to make some changes to our permit sometime this year. So this is a good thing.
No action we need to take tonight.
No.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions on that for Ms. Tobin? All right, moving along then 11.1 correspondence. I don't see anything there. 11.2 UCCI advocacy groups. Looks like end of session summaries posted up here if you want to read through that at your leisure. Nothing sticks out, Becky, that we need to talk about on that tonight?
I don't think so. I mean,
read it if you have any questions.
Yeah, there's a few things, but I won't get into it tonight.
No, you need to, go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Okay. All right. We need an executive session.
We do.
Now it looks like we have something.
Personnel and sale of real estate. Anything else, Carla? Just those. Okay.
Sale of real estate. So just those two issues?
Yep.
All right, then I will need a motion to move into executive session for 12.3 personnel and 12.4 sale of real estate. Can I get a motion to that effect, please? Mr. Schneider makes the motion. Ms. Patterson is the second. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call to go to executive session. Brian Schneider?
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey?
Yes.
Tom Wahlberg?
Aye.
Lisa Patterson?
Yes.
Dana Logston?
Yes.
Pat Regano?
Yes.
Budney Riley, yes. Marion Thornberry?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. We are in executive session at 7:25 PM. All right, we are out of executive session at 7:50 PM. Aaron, let me know. We just keep moving or we just
Just keep moving.
keep it on moving? Okay, so 13.1.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that the staff be direct on both issues, that there be a similar motion, that the staff be directed to proceed as consistent with the direction in executive session, and I so move.
Okay, well, let me read it here as it's on the agenda. Dave, I motion to approve the proposal from Sage Commercial Advisory in the amount of $3,500 for the appraisal of Maple Crest Nursing Home. Would you like to make that motion, Mr. Wiltsey?
Yes, sorry, I forgot that was a concrete one. Yes, thank you.
That's okay.
Motion.
All right, motion by Mr. Wiltsey. Can I get a second? Second by Ms. Patterson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Motion carries. All right, that will move on to the full board then. I need one more motion, 14.1, to adjourn the meeting, please.
Right here, right here.
Motion by
So moved.
Mr. Regano, second by Mr. Schneider. All those in favor, aye.
Brian, you did it to me, huh?
Anybody want to stay?
No.
Out of here.
Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:51 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, my boy.